why community is so essential. And you talk about a woman who passed away in Italy, and then her body was found. But you mentioned that she was loneliness personified, where we see loneliness as an epidemic level. And I can't remember if it was in your work. Forgive me, I've read several different things recently where they mentioned now that they're seeing loneliness or isolation is more dangerous to young people than obesity or drugs. Because of that fact, how do we recover this idea of community to help us work out this idea of, or the Beatitudes, or this kingdom perspective? How do we do that? I mean, many of us aren't going to be founding a seminary like Bonhoeffer in the middle of all this, but what role should, I guess I'm expanding my question, so forgive me. What role does the church, or should the church play, especially now when it only seems that the church only knows how to do goods and services on the Sunday morning in the Sunday morning experience?
We have a guy in our church who just lost his wife, surprisingly young age, and he is beside himself with grief. I watched the men of this church come around him. And this was an interesting situation because the fellow who lost his wife was not very much involved. It was one of these situations where she was probably the spiritual leader. Everyone knew her, but not so much him. But the guys of our church reached out to him, took him out for coffee, invited him to the men's Bible study. And I was meeting with him recently, and he said, I had no idea that this is what the church is about. The amount of love and concern, the amount of texts I've gotten from guys I hardly know telling me that they're praying for me and they're available to talk. He said, I cannot imagine walking through this valley without these new friends. I think that's what it looks like. I think, and that can be multiplied so many times over. You mentioned youth or young people. I totally agree, Travis. That this is a severe problem now. And so we have to think about youth ministry in that light. How do we provide a support structure in which these young people are able to honestly verbalize what they're facing, their fears, their apprehensions, their needs, what they're seeing on social media, and have a safe place in which to dialogue about those things? That, it seems to me, is priority one in the ministry of the local church.
Is helping the youth understand and have a safe place where they can articulate it.
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine being young today? I mean, I'm 51, and I remember what it was like in junior high, high school, mamma mia. And that was, of course, without social media. And so the sort of pressure that young people today face is of such a proportion that it needs to be the top priority in the local church.